Hey, what's going on? It's the ManFUzed Podcast. I am Kay Lee, your host, voice artist, audio producer. My co-host, Mr. Real Estate, Ben H. A man with skills beyond comprehension, people.
It's all communication-based stuff.
Just don't ask him to pay a power bill. WTF is going on in the United States? Is this just a series of accidents? We have a derailed train in Ohio with a chemical spill that might pollute the Ohio and Mississippi River, town evacuated, another train derailment in Michigan, and we have a massive 5-acre Florida fire burning plastic pots at a nursery plant warehouse. Accidents, or are we under attack?
What is going on in the world?
The truth is, I have no fucking idea.
I have an idea.
Are we nearing the end of the doomsday clock? Are we nearing midnight?
I don't know, man.
Which is end of days?
I think that we are dealing with diversion that are happening. I mean, if you think about the result of these things, it is polluting the water supply. It is damaging the food supply. It is pushing people out of their homes. It is a complete catastrophe. And although I'm not saying that it is intentional, I find it interesting that regarding the thing that happened in Ohio,
the train derailment
with the vinyl chloride.
And I have a list of other chemicals that could be even worse with additives. So, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But
imagine if someone dropped a bomb of exact proportions, like a foreign adversary, like Russia flew a jet over here and dropped a bomb in Ohio that was the equivalent of what we're seeing right now, a chemical bomb. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know.
Your sweater's nice.
Yeah, thank you, Ben H. As I in my ManFUzed gear
it's
that
dope.
I'm wearing right now.
All I'm saying is that would be an act of war.
Absolutely.
And somehow...
And a quick, swift response, I'm sure. Because our government, don't you dare come over here and lay a finger on our people, but we'll fuck up our people all day long.
If what's happening is what it seems to be, there's not much we can do about it. In my opinion, we're under attack. I'm just going to say it. Ben H. at ManFUzed, I think we're under attack. I think we're under assault. And I think it's under siege in a way, not by some foreign adversary, or maybe so, but everything is covert. Everything is being hidden. I look at what happened. Okay, I can deal with the fact that there was a train derailment. I can deal with that.
Correct. I can't deal with that if it's because of lack of infrastructure.
Sure.
If it was an accident.
I'm not saying it's acceptable.
No.
I'm saying that I understand these things happen. Car wreck, plane crash, train derailment, it happens.
Right.
I don't like it. I think it's garbage.
Well,
but
I think the railroad system, Norfolk, the railroad, needs to be held accountable because of their lack of updated infrastructure, which now we have another train derailment reported in Michigan with hazardous chemicals. But as of the moment that we're recording this, I haven't even looked into that one yet.
It's insane. And so what I do have an issue with is how they very quickly made the decision to blow this shit up. Now that's the part that creates this massive problem. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't the best option. I'm just saying that it was done before anyone even knew that there were any other options.
So from what I read and what I was investigating, because I am a sleuth, I'm a private dick, and I'm Go-Go Gadget, Inspector Gadget, you know.
Right.
I'm the pink fucking panther.
Yeah, you're an investigative.
Yeah, but which means I just Googled it. But they were monitoring the temperatures of the inside of some of these tanks, and at least this is what was being reported, that some of them were reaching temperatures that seemed very high risk for exploding on their own, in theory, would be worse.
I don't know if it'd be worse or not. I'm just saying that, okay, let's try to put it out. Let's drop a fucking plane full of ManFUzed ball powder on it.
P-Ruse, we need on this now. We need the recipe to not only put the fire out on our nuts, but put the fire out on a train derailment.
Yeah, I mean, water won't work. Well, what about sand? Or what about that stuff they use in California? ManFUzed ball powder or whatever. Let's try to put it out, number one. Number two, if it blows up on its own, let's be trying to put it out before that happens. Number three, if you blow it all up right now, you're exploding the largest fucking chemical bomb. I mean, this stuff has been used in warfare. In World War II, it was used as a chemical weapon.
Are you talking about vinyl chloride?
Yes.
But that's what they use to make PVC. It's an ingredient they use currently for PVC piping and things of that nature.
And see, this is where the rub is with me. I don't give a fuck. I only look at the result. What you're saying is the vanilla, your chocolate coating. That's the chocolate. To me, all I see is that ass is the chocolate coating. I'm not saying you're doing it. I'm saying that's the story that's being told. People just pick it up and they believe it and they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I mean, vinyl chloride's used to make PVC pipes. That's cool. And, oh, okay, yeah, they had to blow the stuff up because, they wrote that if they wouldn't have, it would have been more dangerous. So that makes sense. And yeah, and the people that live around there are in dire danger.
Well, I don't take much for granted from the media, but I do value one individual's not only perspective, but opinion, and she has a track record for fighting for not only justice,
yes,
but for justice. Yeah. And that for people.
Yeah,
and
she's an advocate of the people.
And that would be Erin Brockovich.
Boom.
Besides the movie, the person is, this woman does not go and take what the establishment is feeding. She questions, she puts the spotlight on him, and she holds him to the fucking fire. And that's exactly what needs to happen. So listen, I got this clip. It's super good. We're going to play it in a second. When I find my shit. When I find my shit. When Kaylee gets his shit together. Kaylee gets his shit together. Oh my God. There it is. All right. You ready for this, Ben?
Yeah. Okay, so now the plume itself is traveling.
Of course it is. The
plume is traveling.
It was like this, like traveling.
You know what's funny about that? I listened, obviously, to our previous podcast as we referenced Gilbert and the penis balloon.
You mean the penis piñata?
We missed something.
No.
The Tic Tac that they shot out of the sky, that's the shape of a penis, bro.
Oh, really?
Yes. It is a phallic shape, and it's flying through the air at speeds our technology has not even imagined touching. We shot one out of the air. We do have cock and balls. We are under siege.
That might go along. Was it aimed towards Russia?
It was flying over Alaska.
Did you hear about the Russian fighter jets that tried to come over the Alaskan airspace? We fucking made their asses turn around quick.
Oh, bro, yeah.
They're testing the waters.
All I got to say to them is fucking bring it.
I know, you're amped up. You're ready to go. Ben's ready for war. All right, hold on. Here we go.
I mean, I don't want war, but
Ready?
bro, I dare the motherfuckers to come over here. They don't know what the fuck.
Let's do this.
Here's what we know now. On February 3rd, that freight train with 150 cars derailed in the town of East Palestine, Ohio. At least 20 of the cars were carrying hazardous materials that could cause cancer and other illnesses. Some of the cars caught fire. Authorities detonated at least one of them to prevent an even bigger explosion. The problem is they could not stop that massive plume of dangerous black smoke that made the air obviously dangerous to breathe and reportedly killed scores of animals. The toxic stew seeped into surrounding lakes and rivers, potentially contaminating the drinking water. But today on Fox, the state's Republican Governor Mike DeWine says the water is safe.
Listen to this
jerk off. We just handed a couple minutes ago the results of the testing of the village's water supply. There's 5 separate wells.
Yeah, you fucking
And we now have the results back from all the wells. All the wells indicate the testing is negative. It's clear. That water certainly can be consumed by residents.
This guy sounds like a
Apparently
Democrat.
Not the fish. The governor also claims the air is just fine.
This is our governor, or their governor.
We brought the scientists in. We brought the people in.
There it is.
Can test the air.
Scientists are testing.
The air has been good. Continue to monitor that air, and we waited until that air was again clear before we announced that people could go back, voluntarily, whatever they want to do, but they could go back into their own homes.
Unfortunately, his constituents don't believe him much.
I do not feel anywhere in this town is safe.
We're not safe.
No.
Tell us the truth.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, absolutely. I will not live in this town. I will be moving.
Wonder what the real estate values are now.
All right, so what's the truth? Is it safe or not to eat, drink, breathe, and live there? Joining me now, legendary environmental activist, consumer advocate, and author of the Brockovich Report newsletter, the woman for whom the movie Erin Brockovich is named. It's Erin Brockovich. Welcome to the show, dear.
Hi. Hey, thank you for having me.
So if people's eyes and ears and noses tell them that their environment is not safe,
real important
and
here,
something is still very wrong, yet government agencies are telling them that the air and water results are completely clear and safe for them to return, who should they believe?
They need to believe their own instincts. They need to believe what it is they're smelling, what it is they're seeing, what it is they're feeling, what it is they're experiencing, what it is what they're having to bury their dead animals, and concerns for their children who are having coughs and rashes and vomiting and nausea and dizziness and headaches and everything else. I can't believe, right before I came on, that DeWine went. Wasn't it just yesterday they were told not to drink the water?
Yes.
Now today they're told you can drink the water. This is just turning into one nightmare, if you ask me.
Wear the mask.
Because testing can take time.
Don't wear the mask.
You just don't flip from the air is bad, the air is safe, oh, we're going to evacuate, oh, by the way, we're going to bring you back, but the water's polluted, now it's not. None of this is making any sense. And you wonder why? The community is angry, frustrated, and fearful because there's no consistent data. There's no confirmed data. And it's a guessing game. And that's a tragedy to do to a community. Look, what we do know is vinyl chloride. We had a train derail. We've had huge off-gassing. They've done a control burn. We know it's confirmed that butyl acetylate, which is a chemical that's kind of tricky because you got to look at the MSDS sheet there on what the additive to that chemical is, which is benzene. We know for a fact that that has now been detected off-site in the creeks heading for the Ohio River. So it's every single day. What a mismanaged disaster and lack of total communication. And so that community is going to have to rely on themselves, what they know, what they feel, and what their instincts are. Because at this point, I don't think anyone's trusting the information that's coming out.
They don't, and this is after COVID. There's still a great deal of distrust for the government after people feel that they were very misled about
They
so
don't
many of
feel
the
it.
elements with COVID. But
They know
here
it.
you've got some very toxic chemicals that you've just laid out. Are some of these things more dangerous and cumulative as time goes on, and what could they be looking at?
The benzene component absolutely could be, and I would like to ask a question to the EPA. Are you even testing for that? Because it's an additive, and if you miss it, we have a bigger problem because benzene's not going to evaporate or dissipate into the water. You'd have a huge contamination of the Ohio River down in the Mississippi, affecting tens of millions of people. And if the community, in fact, and some of their symptoms or telltale signs of a benzene exposure, you would need to be doing immediate blood testing. So in the absence of so much information, I don't know how any agency could deem this all clear and safe for these people.
Whose fault is this, Erin?
Well, we could start with Norfolk and why I'd like to know this train derailed. We're going to have to take a look at infrastructure issues and all kinds of problems in that front. How did it derail? Why did it derail? Why is it the governor is saying he didn't know it was carrying hazardous materials? I don't believe any of that. So it happened because a train derailed, and I think it derailed because we got a lot of safety issues and we've got a lot of infrastructure issues, and we're going to obviously have to have that conversation.
All right. Well, we're going to have Erin Brockovich Part 2 back in the habit after this story, because I have a feeling that you're going to start cracking skulls and taking names. So call Julia Roberts. She's going to win another Oscar. Erin, thank you very much.
And then the other option is planned. Someone paid someone to do it. Someone is looking to disrupt. Someone is looking to attack our way of life. What's the difference if it's an accident or it's not an accident? It's very small.
I mean, well, I would think if it's not an accident and it was a foreign entity that caused this, well...
What if it was internal? I mean, look at 9/11.
Well, absolutely.
I mean, dude,
But
all the most tragic shit
But there again, will we ever really know? Because the establishment controls the media. Most of them anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, even Aaron Brockovich could gather all the information, and if they wanted to bury Aaron Brockovich, they sure as fuck could.
We're out here running around trying to live our lives, take care of our families, provide for our families, earn a living, and do the best that we can. There's evil exists out there, and we are told a story. We're told a narrative that it's not true. I don't believe any of this shit. I really don't.
Now, could it have been a actual accident? Absolutely.
Yes.
Accidents happen all over the world every day. But the way they're handling it and the way that the information, I don't believe a fucking...
That's what I mean. A train derailed and it's got chemicals in it. Oops, we blew it up.
It's leaking into
What do you mean it blew up? No, we blew it up. We put bombs on it and blew it up.
Right, now it's leaking...
Why did you do that? Well, because that was the safest way, we thought. What? Like, what are you talking about? I feel like I'm talking to a fucking 6-year-old.
Now it's leaking into the Ohio River, down to the Mississippi River, and I mean, who knows what this is. And it's not even that. They're like, oh, it's safe to drink. Meanwhile, the fish are dead. Animals are dying. I just saw a picture of a dead dog.
And pretty soon it's going to be people. And look at how many people died as a result of COVID in hospitals. And look at now how many people are dying as a result of cardiac complications, potentially due to round 1 or round 2 or round 3 or 4 or 5.
1 prick, 2 prick, 3 prick, 4.
Or whatever the hell. It's a playbook. It's being ran on us. Whether it's an accident or not, that the thing happened, it's sure as shit.
Most of the media sources are still not talking about it that much.
Right.
Which is why the balloons over the last week have been a great distraction.
Today, you've got a fire at a plastic facility, which is what this shit is, in Florida. 5 acres, burning chemicals into the air right now. Then you've also got the Michigan crash. Oh, it just so happens to have
chemicals on that derailment.
Now they've turned that car up and they don't think it's leaking or whatever. But I'm just saying it's quite a coincidence, isn't it? That within a week we would have
2 hazardous chemical train derailments
and 1 plastic facility fire in Kissimmee, Florida. All the same time.
And when was the last 2 train derailments a week apart with hazardous chemicals? I'd like to see the data on that. Show me.
Well, and not only that, they should be put that shit out, number 1. Number 2, encapsulated the area. Oh, we're just going to let it run down the fucking riverway here and let's blow it up, get into the atmosphere. I mean, it's just tragic, bro. It's tragic. And it's frustrating. I'll be honest with you. I say all of that to say this. I don't think there's a fucking thing that we can do about it. I don't think anything we personally do is going to stop whatever it is that's coming, dude. And I think that everybody could agree, based on the last couple of years and since the beginning of COVID, that was an attack, in my opinion, and we've been under attack since then. And I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse. I think they're after our food supply. I think they're after our money. I think they're after our fucking property, sovereignty, individual and national. They're after the whole thing. The only thing we can do is prepare. That's all we can fucking do. Have fucking food, have ammo, have a fucking plan, have clean water stocked away. Like, it's that time. I hate to say it, but...
You're prepping.
Yeah, I'm prepping. I mean, look, let me tell you something. Down where I'm from, in Tallahassee, Florida, we got swamplands down there. We got a lot of wild shit going on down there. You don't want to fuck around down there. You know what I'm saying? I've been considering packing up my family and going home, dude, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
Why?
This shit freaks me the fuck out, bro. And I'm not trying to be on the fucking grid lockdown. I don't know, man.
Well, it hasn't hit. I mean, like, yes, everything's close to home. It's never that far away, but it's not like they could fuck with you in Tallahassee just like they could fuck with you in Atlanta.
We're self-sustained out in the woods. I'm telling you, we got deep out in the marshlands. We got islands with houses on them and fucking everything else. I think about the future of this country, man. I think about how these kids are growing up, and I think about just the type of population that we are creating. And everything's so fucking soft nowadays, dude. And everything's so fucking, this whole COVID thing, like, got everybody into this mode of, like, obeying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now everybody's just kind of got, like, blinders on. And they're just like,
yeah, I don't.
Just want to go throughout my day, you know what I mean? And go throughout my life.
I think that's exactly why this platform, this podcast, this outlet is so important.
Absolutely.
We need to be able to with a common sense perspective and a street smart perspective be able to relay what we think and combat the fucking establishment's narrative. Now, whether 1 million people hear it, whether 500 people hear it, whether it spreads to be some global thing where tens of 20 millions of people hear it.
Oh, our podcast?
I
think
platform.
it already is. At the end of the day, if I'm lying, strike me now. Because I ain't lying. I'm being straight up.
You're being straight up with your opinion and perspective from what you see.
I could be wrong.
Of course. And
As a matter of fact, most of the time, I fucking hope I am.
Absolutely.
I hope I am. Or something happens, I'm like, oh, thank God I was wrong.
Totally. And I think we do a good job of when we are shining these different perspectives, and if our perception of what's real or fake is different than someone else's, we normally back it up and close it out with, but we don't know. We don't have absolute concrete facts.
Right.
Because obviously what we see as fact, someone else could be like, oh, no, it's fake news. When that's exactly what the establishment's going to do.
What a better way to attack a population, a country, a nation, than through an accident or a natural disaster. Have you heard of the things, the opinions that are being widely discussed surrounding the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, the events that led up to that earthquake, and how there's a system called HAARP, which stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program?
I've heard a little bit, but you are much more knowledgeable on the subject. I feel like you have studied it more.
I have studied it in great detail.
Well, please tell the audience and educate me as well.
Well, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, it was initiated as an ionospheric research program jointly funded by the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and the University of Alaska, but it's also a defense system. The HAARP defense system can send wattage of electricity, basically, to anywhere.
So to any power plant?
Right. For example, think of it like this. Think of the layers of the earth as guitar strings.
Okay.
Or piano strings, right? So the way that they search for oil and natural gas is they send about a 30-watt electromagnetic signal into the ground, 30 watts, okay?
It's not that much.
And what happens is that current travels down through the ground, and when they hit like crude oil, they get a certain tone back. It vibrates, and they get a tone back, and so then they know that's where the oil is.
It's pretty fucking smart.
They get another tone for natural gas, and so it's a non-invasive way of searching for crude oil and natural gas that is incredibly accurate.
Because you're going to get the same tone if you hit that certain thing.
Right. So you can think of that as like 30 watts kind of strums the string, okay? Whereas HAARP uses about 1 billion watts. So theoretically, actually, what you could do with HAARP, if you were so inclined, but it's not for that purpose.
Of course not.
Although it is funded by the Navy, the Air Force, the Department of Defense, and it is considered a weapon globally. Nonetheless, you put 1 billion watts anywhere you want, and it's going to strum those fucking strings like a heavy metal. And even to the extent that it could cause a massive, massive earthquake. Now, the events that led up to this earthquake in Turkey is what has everyone questioning whether or not this was something that was intentionally done.
So we're not the only country that possesses the ability like HAARP, I assume.
No, we are the owners of HAARP.
So you're saying like Russia couldn't even do what we're...
There's no way. No, Russia couldn't do it. Absolutely no one can do it. HAARP is ours. HAARP is the U.S.
Yeah, but I mean, the scientists on the Russian end or the Chinese end can't take the same technology and apply it?
No, they don't have it. So basically, Turkey was being invited to join NATO, and they declined to do so because they don't want to have to. They basically, Erdogan, who's the president of Turkey, came out and said to the American ambassador, keep your dirty hands off of Turkey. Okay.
Okay.
Now.
But I like Turkey.
After that occurred, the U.S. released a terrorist threat warning. in Turkey. Potential for attacks of churches and schools and public markets.
So they were issuing that they had received a threat
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
They have intelligence.
That is going to put Turkey on high alert.
We're putting Turkey on high alert. There's a high chance of a terrorist attack occurring in Turkey today, right? Then they did one the next day. We did. Another one, but it was a different one. And then there was a third one a day later. So 3 days in a row. So Erdogan said, eat a dick. I'm not joining NATO. Terrorist attack alert.
Earthquake.
From the United States. Oh, what happened after that? All of the NATO allied embassies were evacuated. And everybody was sent home to their country from Turkey. And then the next day, there was a fucking earthquake, bro.
Now, Turkey didn't order everybody to go home. The different countries took their people back.
Because of the threat level of a terrorist attack. Whereas after everyone was evacuated, conveniently, there was a 7.9 earthquake. And prior to the earthquake, there was this weird vagina-looking cloud in the sky.
I saw that.
This weird pink vagina-looking cloud in the sky.
It was beautiful.
Gorgeous, but also kind of weird.
It is weird.
And then, just prior to the earthquake, were strange flashes of blue light coming from different directions. And then the earthquake occurred.
Any of these lights on video?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know I saw pictures of the pink vagina in the sky.
The pink vagina occurred. It was wild. And then the flashes occurred. And
I mean, the destruction in Turkey is like something I don't think anyone's ever seen.
Exactly. So now imagine. So once again, hey, earthquakes happen.
When was the last earthquake in Turkey?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. Natural disasters occur. But we know that we have this ability. We know we have the ability to create rain clouds and shit, bro. They have the ability to do that. So
I want to know how they send 1 billion watts.
Just dig into HAARP. I'm telling you, it'll blow your fucking mind. It'll blow your mind.
And they have the capability to shoot that power even to China?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, how could anyone fuck with us if they did that?
They can't. They can't. They're not going to. All that fucking talk is cheap. But one way that they could, because you're not getting your fucking jets over here, you're not getting your tanks over here, and you're sure as shit not putting anybody on the ground. Because you're going to get fucking destroyed. I don't give a fuck who you are.
You think Ukraine's bad, Russia? You wait.
Motherfuckers don't want shit with us. I mean, we have hunters.
Everybody's a fucking hunter.
Yeah, we got motherfuckers that are hanging out up in trees and shit.
Right.
I mean, come on. So anyway, but you could... That's what I'm saying. It's covert. These are covert ops. If you want to attack America, you've got to do it covertly. You've got to blow a fucking train off the rail that's got chemicals in it. Now, it really gets scary when you start talking about the World Economic Forum and you look at what has been written and what has been said about the coming years prior to 2030. They're calling it the Great Reset is going to occur in 2030. And leading up to that point is going to be the destabilization of society as we know it. Banking, food supply, water supply, vaccination, complete destabilization. This is the World Economic Forum is saying it. And that is going to prove to everyone that the right choice is to have one global governing body so that we don't have all this ruckus anymore. So there's that aspect of it. So there's this World Economic Forum, one world government aspect of it.
So it's kind of like trying to be a NATO, because NATO is trying to pool all these forces together. You fuck with this country, you fuck with all of us.
Yes.
Kind of like the World Economic Forum is trying to put everybody under this one umbrella.
Exactly. And, NATO obviously is an alliance for protection. Like, hey, if you fuck with them, you're fucking with all of us.
Because some countries don't have the power and the military to defend themselves against the bigger powers.
And NATO will legally fight on your behalf in situations where your country can't.
Of course.
NATO can come in and get your ass out of hot water.
And because they'll also pull from France and they'll pull from the U.S.
Exactly.
And so how much firepower can we get here from all these resources?
That's right. But what the World Economic Forum is insinuating is that there is going to be an increasing destabilization of society and that separate governments, separate nations aren't capable of dealing with it. And so we've got to tie everybody together under one rule, one law, one thing. I mean, it's like 300. It's like Xerxes' army. Either you fucking give us your shit, You'll still be king of Sparta, but you're going to bend the knee. I own Sparta. Yeah, you're king of the shit that I own. You know what I'm saying? Or I'll bring the army in here and we'll just fucking destroy y'all motherfuckers. And Leonidas like, eat a dick, get some.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm paranoid about these, like the train situation and these plants burning and the coincidence of all these things, because we know who the politicians are that are described as, by the World Economic Forum, politicians. And Joe Biden's fucking one of them. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the Democratic Party capitulates with the World Economic Forum and everything they're trying to do. And if you're for the Democratic Party, it's probably because you think you're a kind person. Maybe you're a radical left liberal. I don't know what the fuck. Maybe you want communism. And you know what? You have the right to want that. But I've got the right to fucking want what I want too. And I want freedom. I want sovereignty. I want freaking individuality.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want capitalism. I want free markets.
I want legal prostitution.
Yeah, dude, I want the separation of church and state. So anyway, this shit freaks me out because it looks to me
like it's another notch in the plan. It's another pawn. It's another chess piece move to get to that checkmate.
It's like, oh, look, we got one train derailment. That occurred. Let's try to get the fucking head guy from wherever to call in.
Oh, and by the way, look up in the sky. It's a balloon.
Yeah.
Oh, my attention's going over there.
Oh, and listen, shout out to Daniel Bland. I've been looking at pictures of that balloon. Do you know what it was carrying? They kept saying it was a payload.
The big China one?
Yeah.
You know that thing was over 200 feet tall?
Do you know what it was carrying?
No.
A fucking satellite. It had a satellite on it. That's what it was carrying. Now, Daniel Bland told us that satellites actually are in the sky, but they are attached to high-altitude balloons. They don't orbit the Earth like we're told. I'm not saying that that's what I believe. I'm just saying, shout out to Daniel Bland, because that fucking Chinese balloon had a satellite under it.
So, which could lead some to believe and understand that the reason why we don't see these high-altitude balloons is because they are so far up there, we wouldn't be able to see it with our eye. But maybe this one was a lemon and it dropped lower than the usual ones do.
So let's say it was from China. Let's freak everybody out a little bit and let's shoot it the fuck down with a missile.
But not shoot it down immediately because it's not an immediate threat, apparently.
Right.
We're going to wait and let it travel for 6 or 7 days before we strike it down.
And then all of a sudden we shoot that down, and then subsequently now we're shooting down 3 UFOs or some fucking bullshit, dude. I'm just saying, how do these things all happening in fucking 3s and 4s and 5s?
Well, I don't know, but I think we need to send up the penis pinata and fucking drop dicks over fucking the Kremlin.
We the people are tired of being stepped on.
No, fuck
we're sending up the fucking penis blimp.
Yeah, the penis pinata. We want a penis pinata.
God.
When it comes in the rain. Who wants a penis pinata? Man, it all ain't the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the
same.
As you can see, Ben H is a tornado in here today. And I agree. I totally fucking agree.
I think
sick
it's all, bro.
All bullshit.
I'm tired of seeing it, and I'm tired of feeling like I'm being fucking...
Are you trying to insinuate we are all that stupid?
Yeah, like I saw it with COVID. I told everybody I fucking knew with COVID. I feel like I saw it. Like, honestly, I'm kind of glad I was right on that one, because I did at a certain point, like, of the process of the pandemic, go, dude, I really hope I'm right about this, because if my ass ends up dying from COVID and my last thought is, I should have got the vaccine. But that was the closest I ever got to getting vaccinated.
Because there was their narrative. You heard all these sad stories where it's like this person was against, getting the shot. Right. And then lo and behold, they are one that's on their deathbed on a vent, and they're going, I sure wish I would have done what you said.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not denying that there weren't cases like that, but people die from the flu all the fucking time. Hey, thanks for listening to the ManFUzed Podcast. Join the show by hitting us up at ManFUzed.com or 770-744-5227. You could support the show by sharing the show. Also, if you're inclined to make a donation, we won't stop you. You can listen to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, all major podcast platforms. Once again, thanks for listening.